And welcome out to Trade Masters presented by Tackle Trading, where two traders will come together, each with a couple of trade setups, bounce them off one another, bounce them off the team as we build out our midweek watch list. You got Coach Matt, you got Coach Frank. I'm a little under the weather. Okay, a lot under the weather, Maddie, but it's going to take more than being sick to not come talk some charts. So excited to
Mhm.
break it all down with the team. If you're new here, welcome. It's great to have you. Always is helpful for us if you do like and share and subscribe and all of the fun YouTube things. And of course, if you're not a pro member, there's never a better day than today to come on over to Tackle Trading, hit that 15-day free trial to come hang out with the best community out there, bar none. You'll love your stay, whether it's our coaches show, our Discord hangout, our world-class newsletter, our trader report. Got all sorts of goodies for you. If you're looking for a home as a trader, I believe you have found that. Maddie, my man, how we doing first off this Wednesday afternoon?
Doing absolutely fantastic. Excited to be with the team to hang out with my good friend Coach Frank, my Delta Dog Borg-minded twin brother of all things trading to talk a little shop here. In fact, this is how closely tied you and I are technically. Round two, we're going to do the Battle of the King's Beds because that's
We
that's
are.
that's
Hey,
I've been hearing a lot about how we're divided in America, Frankie. And I'm going to show you guys how divided me and Frankie get from a technical perspective in round two.
there's not much.
Not a
Spoiler
lot of
alert.
daylight there, guys. But
Spoiler alert.
excited to be here. And before we get into round one, round two, obviously trade masters, you and I just kind of talk shop, kind of throw out a couple picks in round one, couple picks in round two. We then have a discussion on what we like, which one we like better. Neither one of us well, both of us are willing to say, oh, nope, I like that one better. I
Yeah.
like that one
Yep.
better.
Sometimes.
Because this isn't about winning some random ridiculous contest on YouTube. It's about finding the best trades for each other and for our community. And so, if you love Team Tackle, you're part of Team Tackle. Hit that like and share because we're going to bring the fire. And if you don't have to go too far to understand, check out last week's Trade Masters when the best pick, and I think it was the favorite pick of everybody. Qualcomm went ham on the week here, Frank. He just
Just
did
had a
some
good run. Yeah.
absolutely fantastic things. Hims last week triggered in aggressively, like we talked about, and that analysis played out very, very, very well. Bit dear here, Frankie. You're extremely aggressive crypto miner here,
It's bit
still
dear and
looking pretty
still
good.
holding that nine. It has been very much bit dear. That is
And
for sure.
Enphase needs to figure out if it wants to giddy up. It still has the ability and opportunity to giddy up. We'll have to wait and see. But Frankie, I'd say we've had a pretty decent track record ever since we brought back Trade
I've
Masters,
had a
and
pretty good
so
run, I would say,
hopefully
overall.
hopefully
Yeah.
the team and everybody watching has not only enjoyed it but thrived on it as well. One
Absolutely.
word on the actual market here, from a technical perspective, as we kind of get into the conversation here, Frankie. And I think it's important because we're at a decision point in the pullback level of the market. Market's pulling back just slightly here. Got a 2 bar pullback here. The candle you're seeing right here, that's the candle that's just kind of forming on the futures. This is tomorrow's candle today, i.e., the futures index we're looking at here. You're also battling the 9 EMA right there, Frankie, and we could be looking at a little bit. You violate that, could see some downward pressure here down to the 20 period moving average. But if you pivot back up here, you're talking about a potential confirmation against that flag. And so this is kind of that first level of the pullback. But it's not just me looking at it. I'm going to tell you right now, those day traders are looking at it all day long here, Frankie. Look
Oh
how
yeah.
clean that level is. The levels on the intraday side of the
Man, that
equation
is
right
clean.
here, that's a very clean level. And that's, guess what, Frankie? Right around that nine, or it was right around where that 9 EMA was. And then on the top side, when you're talking ultimate confirmation, you got to work off some of this volatility, but you're really clean at that 6,700 zone as well. And my general point on that is the levels are clean. The battle is clearly understood on the levels for the Bulls and the Bears. And so let's see if we can get that little dose of confirmation. One of my picks probably doesn't need the confirmation, but we
Ooh,
will we will wait and see on that,
I
Frankie.
love it.
Round one. You want to go
Round
first? You want me to?
I sure. I'll kick us off. Well, so we'll do our Battle of the King's Bed in round two. I had a few that I was kicking around, but I think I'm gonna settle in on DocuSign, Maddie, for my first play here. I like kind of where we are overall, recently breaking through that 200-day moving average, and now just kind of chopping. It kind of needed it. It's been kind of rolling pretty hot, and that's kind of right into that, the general trend line, really since December of last year. So you kind of have a very natural, this makes sense that this is a place where you might pause a little bit, but at least as of right now, you haven't done anything, right? You haven't given anything up here. And if you can continue this momentum, you do have a pretty clear path up into the, 93-ish range, right? And beyond that, you have a pretty clear path into the 100 range. And beyond that, you have a pretty clear path into the 107 range. So you have a lot of room. You have kind of three different levels, but for all of those levels, there's kind of, okay, very clearly that's the level that breaks. Okay, we
Really
got some
clean
room.
on the weekly too on those levels.
Yeah, very, very clean on
Not a
that,
big
right?
debate there, brother.
So you got some really nice target zones that you can work with. And this little consolidation on the daily, I always like, Maddie, and I don't know if it's just makes me feel good, but I always like when you can kind of get the combination of the 9 EMA and the 200 for a stop loss on breaks above 200-day moving averages. It just
Mm,
feels good. And sometimes the 9 hasn't quite done it yet, right? It's still not
yeah.
quite there. But because of really the chop that we've seen over the last several trading sessions, that's allowed that to do that. So I don't think you have to get too crazy here on these guys. I think you're just looking for them to take out the tops. I would have that over the top from Thursday, personally, from last Thursday, which is what, 86.65. I could see a more aggressive 86.27, that high from yesterday,
Yeah.
but I think you get through all of the junk here personally. I think you do target up into that 93 by 100, and then we'll see what happens when, if we get there and momentum picks up, you can kind of just ride the 9 for the stop loss, and kind of get risk off that way. I just think the overall story is pretty nice. You got a bottoming pattern on that weekly. You've come into the trend line. You've gotten through the 200. You've really just kind of done all of the things you needed to do, in my opinion, to win one fight after another, right? And well, I'm going to give them the benefit of doubt that they got one more in them,
Yeah.
hopefully two more in them. So I like DocuSign here. I do think you might not. This might not be a tomorrow entry. I mean, I think it's it certainly could get through that high, but I think you're probably looking at a little upward movement, and then that's breaking out either Friday or early next week. But if it breaks out, I think the risk to reward justifies it personally.
Um, yeah, Frankie, I'd like a couple things here. Number one, I'd like the breakout of the 200 to kind of establish this pattern right here in the first place, and then it really hasn't done anything wrong. And when you talk about that stop loss placement, I've just always kind of felt like if you can get the rule is you got to get it under some degree of support, right?
Yep, got to
You
have something.
gotta have some degree of support work for you. But if you can stack more supports, like two, three, four levels of support to really kind of help you, like that grandmama 200 and that very aggressive 9 EMA, well, that just gives you a lot more confidence. It's like stacking bricks. It's a little easier to break one brick, a little bit harder to break four bricks, right? And
Yep.
so I really like the stop loss placement pattern development's been pretty decent, and the targets are non-debatable here. Like those are
Yeah, those are
those
it, right?
those are major, and not, sometimes it's hard to read a pivot historically because there's so much data and so much volatility and whatnot. You go out to the weekly chart here, this is
Just kind of
not
cleans it up, right?
debatable.
Just cleans
Like
it
that.
up.
Yeah, it just really cleans that up. Like the trade setup there, Frankie, no doubt about that. When I was thinking about kind of trade masters today, after the market closed here, Frankie, I was like, okay, we're pulling back a little bit. And in the depth of the retracement, there's three levels that you typically track to understand the quality of a retracement. Whether you're talking about a stock, a commodity, the index itself. And my reference there was on the S&P 500, kind of sitting on that flag on that 9 EMA. If you retrace a little bit further, I kind of feel if the market pulls back further from here, it's not going to be because all the 493 stocks in the market sold. And the reason I said it like that, Frankie, is because I kind of have a feeling where the money's going to come from. And not a sign of weakness. I'm not talking about a weakness sign. I'm talking about Apple slightly overextended, maybe a little bit of profit taking. I'm talking about Google, who has been a juggernaut
No monster.
recently, an absolute monster, a fantastic trend, one of the best trends in the market. Well, this is kind of that first sign you've seen of some true profit taking type technical side of it. This is the first time since the gap out just recently that we closed underneath that 9 EMA. And that
Yeah.
wouldn't be a shocking thing to see Google pull back. And by the way, I don't think it would be a bad thing for Google to pull
No, not
back.
at all.
Yeah, give other people a chance to jump on this freight train a little bit.
Yes. Yes.
When I look at companies like some of our favorites in the semiconductor infrastructure build out, like LRCX here, Frankie, Lam Research doing absolutely fantastic. And when I'm thinking about one of our loves from a very long time ago and for on the Tackle 25 for now 11 years, Applied
They live
Materials.
there.
There has been not a company on this other than Bank of America and Applied Materials as long as this company was when it was a $17 stock and now it's a $200 stock.
Good look.
But that's that. But you look at it in the short term, obviously overextended here, obviously starting to shift a little bit of volatility. And so you could see a little bit of profit taking in some of the leadership that has really driven this trend. And the trend isn't just from the last few days. Frankie, the trend goes back to here.
Yeah.
The market's been in a move, not for 3 days. The market's been in a move for a little bit of time. In the newsletter this week, I talked about it being slightly overextended. I talked about it and I even talked about it in the podcast. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you do it. It's on our YouTube channel, on every podcasting out there is there as well, about the overall see a trade, take a trade environment. And so I'm looking at the market today and I'm like, okay, can we pull back a little bit more? Yes. Doesn't mean we have to. We could certainly confirm off this flag. But if we do, where's that going to come from? Probably going to come from some of the Mag 7.
Probably.
Probably going to come from because NVIDIA breaks 175. And if NVIDIA breaks 175, it's going to be a very quick journey down to 168. And so you could see a little bit of that drift. And if that occurs, and even if that doesn't occur, I kind of wanted to get a pick that was not reliant on if we were going to see some profit taking in the Max 7, if we were going to see a
Okay.
little bit of profit taking in those types of areas that I just spoke about. And that's a long-winded way of saying and leading to a to my pick here, Frankie. But
Yeah.
this isn't people's first trade masters, and if it is, this is how
We'll
it
be
goes.
long-winded.
Okay.
Long-winded way to say
Picking
welcome to
Walmart here,
Walmart,
Frankie.
right?
Welcome to Walmart. Welcome to Walmart. Now, what I like about Walmart here is I love the movement that was happening in front of this pattern. You go from the very low to the very top, and you're like, "Oh no, you're not ready for prime time on that." I remember talking to you about this,
Yeah.
Frankie, in our scouting report meeting. You're not ready for prime time because you were overextended, and then you see this break right here, and it runs all the way to
That's right.
106.
It was
Well, that
tired.
candle tells you it's not ready for prime time. That's an exhaustion candle. That's an inverted flip side hammer, and it's saying, "Oh wait, we want a profit take here. We are not ready to break out of 104. We are not ready to giddy up and go. We need to reset that." And this is something I talk about in Master Trader. This is something we talk about at Tackle all the time. When you're slightly overextended coming into a resistance level, you want to see the distance going into the breakout. You want to see that reset. You don't want to run 10 points into a breakout that has the tendency to run, Frankie, 10 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want to see that have the ability to break and run. Because, Frankie, the 104 level here on Walmart is not just a daily level pivot
No, it
point.
is not.
It is a massively important overall resistance level that has been resistance on Walmart all stinking year long. So, while a lot of other stocks broke highs and ran, well, Walmart kind of stuck in neutral here for the better part of the most part of the year. And so you come back into the daily chart and you say, okay, are we going to wait on the breakout of 104? And I'm going to say no.
Okay.
I want to be involved going into that breakout of 104. This is what we call a front runner, where you get your pattern in front of the breakout. Now, you don't have a massive probable edge here yet, Frankie, because think about it. Do I love the analysis going into it? I do. But Walmart's had more than one attempt to break 104 all year long, and it hasn't broken 104 all
Yeah.
year long. Okay. And so you have to take that into account. You just can't fall in love with the pattern. You can't fall in love with your stock because a lot of people love Walmart and it still hasn't broken 104 all year long. And so this is what we call a front run, where you are position sizing very small going into the actual break. And then the anticipation would be add to the trade when you actually
You get
get
the
your
confirmation. Okay.
break. And so, how you would like to set this up is you would just set it up because I like the pivot here. I would call that a minor pivot. And so I'd like an entry simply above the high. That's where I like to get in. Would I fault anybody for waiting on the breakout? No, I would not. That is not a bad thing in any capacity. I'm just saying how I think an aggressive trader would structure this. Now, when you're thinking about stop loss here, Frankie, you could certainly go down to the pivot, but it gets a little bit choppy there. And so I like to go into the intraday side of the equation here. And I like this level right here at the 150 level. The reason I do, this was a massive orb on Walmart, the opening range here during a real sensitive Friday,
Oh
two
yeah.
Fridays ago. Okay. That pivot point right there then became a resistance pivot when that support level gave. It then became a massive support level when you dealt with volatility, not 2.5 weeks ago, but just a day and a half ago. And so that level's kind of been tried and true. There's other intraday levels that you could certainly look at, but that's a level that's been slapped around and still kind of held firm. And so I kind of like that level at the 105 level, obviously using a percentage of the ATR underneath that level to give you a little bit of range there. Now, on the targeting side of the equation, like I said, I, Walmart has a personality here.
It
And
does.
in technical analysis, the personality of a stock goes at the type of the personality of the type of traders and investors and hedge funds and all the different market participants that trade that stock. And so, what do we got on Walmart here from the runner perspective? How far can it run before it gets tired and needs to develop? Okay, needs to profit take, needs to do something differently. Well, you first run from about 94.40 to top shelf right around 104. We'll just call it 10 points, so right around that 10-point range. This second move here went from about 95 and a half to about 104 and a half, so about a 9-point range. And so one moves up slightly over 10, the other one moves slightly over 9, pretty consistent there before Walmart says, nope, we're tired, we want to take a nap. And so took its nap and now it's ready to run again. So if you're talking to me about where it can run to, I'm going to say it can run about 10 points above the pivot here, Frankie.
Yeah.
About 9.5, 10 points above the pivot, which would equate to somewhere around that 112 level. And so the two targets I have in mind here, I don't think the first target's a very important one, especially against the multiple time frame breakout scenario. But because the wick is there and because it was a volatility based wick, I think you got to take it into account because it's the only data point above the 104 level that's important. And I would say that it's at that 106.11 level. So T1, let's just say 106. T2, let's rock it into the 112 level. And that's the trade here, Frankie. Now, what I am thinking from a strategic perspective is call option. What I'm thinking here is just the slightly out of the money call option.
The
And
105.
just to kind of show you, it was the 58 days out, the 105 call
Yeah.
is what we're rocking here. It's $3.35, $335. You come to the analyze tab here, Frankie. Now, the analyze tab on an option trade is always going to be a little bit scuffed, and I didn't want to modify it too much. Just realize you got to give that up because you're waiting on the confirmation. And so your return's right around 450 and your risk is really about 120 in my estimation. But I don't know, Frankie, I'm not the best mathematician, but that's still stinking close to 4 to 1.
That's still a pretty good
Um,
risk reward situation, right?
what what do you think of Walmart?
Listen, you're always going to get me on a multiple time frame breakout up at the top, right? You're always going to get me. I love me a good breakout. And who doesn't love Walmart? That has been such a, pain for it to break through, that if it does, like I like your targets, but I also would say you are in, price discovery mode too, right? And you never
I would
know
too.
if that momentum takes
I'm
over
not
there.
I'm not like I don't have like a rock solid target
Yeah,
there.
it's like not
Right.
married to the
Yeah, not
112
married.
level, right?
No.
That's yeah, that's I like it. I like it. And I don't really mind the idea of the front run. I also don't mind the idea of letting somebody else front run and get in on that confirmation, because there's still plenty there on the breakout
Yeah.
itself. If that is not your style, but I do agree with you. I'm sold on old Wally.
All right, team. All right, team. Round one, we had Walmart, we had DocuSign. Let us know in the chat which one you prefer. Do you prefer Docu? Do you prefer Walmart? If you want to give a reason, that'd be fantastic as well. Coach Mark says, I don't have any staples. This looks like good analysis, bro. Of course it looks like good. What are we talking about? Of course it's um oh, I love it that he's not here to defend anything.
That is so true. That is so
Um,
true.
but I will say, I'll do you one better, brother. Okay. Walmart's kind of fighting that tippity top shelf type stuff. Oh, Frankie, the General Mills is starting to look pretty decent technically here,
The
brother.
general is looking pretty nice down there at that bottoming pattern, right?
It's kind of looking good. And the only reason I didn't pick it here is I would love this Friday to close so this red line converges and we are on the traders report on Friday, which by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you're finding us on YouTube for the first time, we have the most amazing picks every single week in our traders report for our
Yes,
pros. You
sir.
should sign up for the pro. But give me a weekly close here, Frankie. And I think general could be some giddy up action, but just wanted to throw that as a radar candidate.
Yeah, that's a great little radar candidate here. I'm just sneaking over, looking at the dividend yield, because when I look at General Mills and I see a bottoming pattern,
Like
what I
point
my
and a half
brain
quarter.
yeah, well, my brain immediately goes to is this isn't a trade. This is a little
No,
something
no, it's
maybe to consider for
more
the
like a
dividend
side hustle.
portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little something for that divvy
I think that's
portfolio.
how we call position trades coming from the low point from now on. There's just a little bit of side hustle here. That's all that is, Frankie.
Yeah, I like it. I love it.
Everybody's got to have a side hustle. What's mine? Capturing a dividend on General Mills bottoming formation.
There's nothing wrong with that, my friend. Those dividends add up real quick.
Oh. All righty. And if you don't stop me, I got like nine other radar
Oh
candidates.
yeah, there's
Like some
always
like give me a doji tomorrow type stuff.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'll cheat since you cheated.
All right.
CrowdStrike, give me a doji type stuff.
That was
CrowdStrike,
yeah, yeah.
basically Walmart analysis, front run into the breakout. I I
But
just
on an
need a
aggressive tech play.
I
Yeah.
just need a doji tomorrow at that 9 EMA, front run into that breakout channel
Take it,
and
brother.
giddy up and go. I would have went with them, but I do feel like you want that doji tomorrow. At least I
Yeah.
want that doji tomorrow.
Yeah, you need the pivot because you could come down further than this, but
Yeah,
yeah, you need the
absolutely.
pivot here. But that one, I think that was definitely on the radar.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
That one stood
For
out.
sure.
That one
So
stood as well.
it did. It did.
Uh,
And I'm a sucker for CrowdStrike. I'm a sucker for it. Well,
See,
now
I haven't done much on CrowdStrike, like in ever since last year when they had that whole, you
that
know,
whole yeah,
whole
we
issue.
know. Yeah. Some of us know.
Some of us, yeah, it might have been a year for that for a reason, Frankie.
Yeah, there is a
Uh,
possibility that you didn't miss much.
is it? Oh, okay. All right. So round two, round two, round two.
Round two.
We're doing the Battle of the King's Bed.
We are.
Now, can I just quickly draw the King's Bed? Like,
Yes,
yeah, okay.
absolutely. Let's get
So
some art going.
this is a concept I teach in Master Trader in massive detail because I think it's extremely important to understand. Breakout analysis, like we were doing on DocuSign and Walmart, even though Walmart was a front run flag, it's really the multiple time frame breakout analysis. And so when you're looking at yours on DocuSign, it was a breakout. Breakouts are just mathematical. They're
Yeah.
analytical. It's here's your number. Does it break the
Does it
number?
break above it? Yeah.
Right? Does
Does it
does
break
it
it?
break? Right? That's it, it either does it or it doesn't. It's the science of trading. Whereas retracements like CrowdStrike is kind of the art of the market, because there's as much art as there's science here,
Yep.
because there's multiple different levels and you want different things at different levels, meaning you want different patterns that equate to confirmation to emerge at a shallow pullback versus a standard versus the deep. And so this goes back to the concept, according to Elliott wave theory, where you track corrective retracements. And as you track a corrective retracement, you're going to track different levels on that. Well, and I'm not going to teach it here in TradeMaster, so I better get off that because I was that close to doing it.
You're ready to
I
go.
was so close. I was so close to pulling up the Epic Pen and just taking this show over and just teaching Master Trader for the next 2 hours. But let's just say the deeper you go in a retracement, the more you're going to ask from the stock to prove to you the buyers are substantially coming back. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself a question. In a retracement, why did it give up the 9? To get to a deep retracement, you had to give up the 9, you had to give up the 20, you had to give up a pivot, you had to give up probably multiple pivots, you had to give up moves that the market went up and the stock went down. Like there's
Yeah.
things you're giving up along the way. And so the deeper it goes, the more you need that stock, commodity, currency, whatever it is, crypto to do to prove to you. And so what the king's bet is the king's bet is typically short-term consolidation at what is known a deep retracement to allow certain moving averages to converge against the breakout channel. Now,
Mhm.
if that confuses you, I teach a class called Master Trader every single month
He does,
that
in
you
fact,
should
do
come
that.
and hang
You
out
should
with us.
definitely go check that out.
You
Not
definitely
just for the King's bed, but the King's bed alone is worth the trip.
It is. It is. But yes, we go through more detail. I just wanted to explain the technical setup because both of us have that setup. And I felt like if I just kind of explained it, we didn't have to explain it each time we did it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm talking about. Do you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Oh, why not? I'll
Do
go
it.
first.
Okay.
I'll go
You're first.
first. And inside baseball, we did a little rock, paper, scissors here on these two because they're both solid, different looks. I'm going AMD. I am going my friend and yours, AMD. Maddie, you asked on Twitter, back in May or April, who, can be one of the best performing stocks at by the end of the year. I said AMD then, and I still feel that way,
Yeah.
especially if we can kind of confirm here. So, I mean, AMD went on a monster run, right? Nobody needs me to tell them that. But then things got a little bit rocky as we got into August. They gave up the 9, they gave up the 20. The 9 starts falling, the 20's resistance on top of it. Then they give out the 50, right? So they just got into some hard times here. Well, now you're double bottoming here, right? This most recent low from last Thursday is at the same location. If you think about a king's bed, the drop was our headboard. The first bottom is the back legs. The second bottom is the front legs. Now, these guys here, whereas yours, I think, is like ready for prime time, like
Yeah, you can
tomorrow
just play tomorrow.
morning.
Fine.
And I think you probably could do that here, but I don't think you want to do that here on AMD because you obviously have to get back on the right side of the 50-day moving average.
Yeah,
Getting on
you
the
don't
right
want
end of the
you don't want to
50
play that one.
gets you want all of those moving averages to realign. Right now, the 50 is your enemy, right? We've realigned the 9, we've realigned the 20. They're our friends now, but the 50 is still our enemy. We don't want any enemies in this world. So we got to break above that, but we also have to break out above the high from September 10th, right? Where we will put in our most recent swing high. And that level kind of lands right about the same place. So I think you're probably just realistically speaking, I would ask for a close here, close above the 50 and then build off of that candle. If it wants to happen tomorrow, cool. If it wants to happen on Tuesday, probably even cooler.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah,
need
if
to
on
rush.
Tuesday, we could be talking about something pretty tight. Like
We
it's
could. We might be talking about him again on Trade Masters on Wednesday if it does
yeah.
happen on Tuesday. So confirmation is pretty darn important here. I don't think you are interested in front running, because at the end of the day, if this resistance pushes it down, you have no business being surprised,
Yeah.
right? So we got to get through this level, but assuming that we do, and wherever that might be, I do think you want to anchor to the 90 EMA. Right now, I think you can kind of pretty easily anchor to the kind of low from today and yesterday, which also lines up with those. But the nice thing about this being a Tuesday conversation is if it were to break on Tuesday, that 90 EMA is even higher. And I feel perfectly fine anchoring towards that, which is
Yep.
just going to beef up the risk to reward, right? So I think you are pretty much gauging the 9 for your stop loss, and that just will depend on when and if it breaks, where that 90 EMA will be. Take a little time, it'll be higher, risk to reward is better. Regardless of that, I think your real target is that 185, 187 range, where we were just a long month or so ago. I think that is the real target, and you should have no problem. I mean, again, I don't know for sure where it'll be, but just guesstimating, if this closed at 168 tomorrow and I was under the 9, right, you're probably at a 2-to-1 risk
I
to
think
reward
you're
ratio.
fine
So
as long as you're triggering somewhere around 170. Like I,
yeah, like you're going to be fine in that regard, because while
I,
I do think that
I
is
think
the,
you have some mentality above that at 185 level. Like,
oh, I do too. I think 185 is the real target, as I like to
no, I'm
say,
with you because you
but
got
I
kind of a
do,
double top of there too.
yeah,
Is
you got the double, but
yeah.
I do believe if you go out to a weekly,
That's what I was trying to lead you to that weekly because I love this weekly chart.
if that 186 ish, 185 to 187 zone breaks, why aren't we going back
Frankie,
up into the high two, into the
that's
230s?
the triple top there. That's the
Yeah,
entire
that's
reason
some
the weekly hits.
real levels there,
There's
right? So,
yeah, and so I kind of feel like if if AMD can catch some momentum here,
and it can. I
and
mean,
it
look at its
can,
weekly
like
chart.
it's
It
got,
spent a lot of time with
got
momentum this year.
you got to tell the story technically, and you got to break that 50 and whatnot. But if A then B scenario here, like I wouldn't be shocked if we're talking about scaling stop loss, scaling out and trailing stop loss there based on the momentum. I
Yeah,
think
not
it's
at
pretty
all. And I
good.
wouldn't be surprised if it, struggles at 185 and then we're building, another breakout trade at 185, right?
By the way, this is the first good trade setup on AMD since 2 months ago.
It is.
Yep.
It's been a pretty growth
Been a
stretch
couple
for
months.
AMD.
Yeah.
They've really been off of the radar. AMD,
Well, this is the
they
first time we
don't,
brought them up in two,
yeah,
2 months.
yeah, they
Yeah.
don't tend to stay off the radar for too terribly long, either way, bullish or bearish. But a pretty darn intriguing King's bed
I
here
like it.
on
I
these
like it.
guys. So
I
got to
like
get through that 50 though. I don't think any conversation happens till we're above that. Beautiful
it.
thing
No,
about is AMD is like the king of cheapies, right? So liquid, so many strikes, so many expiration
you can do whatever
periods.
you want.
If you don't know how to do cheapies, come over to the Discord channel, come over to Tackle Trading. We'll talk about it, because AMD is a great cheapie candidate. I would argue maybe the best.
It's one of those
Is
stocks.
definitely one of them in
Like,
my mind. Yeah.
like if you just love bull call spreads, you could be like, yeah, AMD's one of the best. If you just love bear call spreads, oh, AMD's one of the best. Like it's just one of those stocks,
Yeah.
that a lot of option traders just kind of gravitate to.
Yep, for sure.
One of the reasons why we love GDX, you can do whatever you want
You
on
can do
it.
lots of fun things on there. Yeah.
There's a lot of stocks like that. I would have said that about FCX today, but then I would have had to bring up FCX chart today.
Woo. A
And
rough day.
yeah,
Picked a
rough
bad day to close down a
double
mine.
whammy to get what happened on get what happened on copper versus like you finally get a move on copper, but the reason you got your move on copper because FCX shut down mines, like just
It's a rough
and
one.
I laugh
So you don't
because
cry.
sometimes you have just to laugh
Yeah.
sometimes.
Laugh so you don't
Oh,
cry.
nasty on FCX. By the way, that was my way of bringing up FCX news today.
Yeah, it works. Cool.
All righty, Frankie. Um, my King's bed is a very similar story of long-term domination followed by short-term weakness.
Yep.
And when you're talking about long-term domination, that's the weekly chart. I would think you could equally argue AMD and eBay's weekly chart are absolutely fantastic. Long-term, intermediate, both look pretty good. Short-term weakness, meaning typically when you get a retracement on the weekly chart is because you've been dealing with a short-term downtrend on the daily chart.
Yep.
And a lot of what this concept of weekly overextension, waiting on a weekly retracement, it's not too dissimilar to waiting on a daily
No,
retracement.
just a
It's
different time
not too
frame.
dissimilar to waiting on an intraday retracement. But it could take a little bit of time because it is a weekly retracement.
Yep.
And so you have this gap down situation out of the failed high base here, which was a really good technical pattern to begin with. But you had that break, and when a base turns into a retrace, you shouldn't be looking to buy the dip there. And I'm just going to tell you right now,
That's a
buying the
tough, yeah.
dip against a high base is a fool's errand. It's fool's gold. You're going to run into a wall. It's not going to work good because you are working against everything.
Yeah.
A high base brings up that 9 EMA. When you break the high base, you break the 9
It
EMA.
goes
You're
below that.
fighting the 9 EMA. I don't like your odds. I don't
No, you
like
don't
your
want to fight
odds.
that guy. You want that guy to be your friend.
Oh, you definitely want that guy to be on your team. And so you really want, when that occurs, like we saw a month ago, you really want to give this time to kind of get redialed in. And again, that's how we kind of call the king's bed. When you give up too much and you need to see something other than a pivot. That's what really the king's bed is. When you've given up too much and you can't just trade a pivot, you need to see something else.
Yeah.
And that's something else for us at those key levels on in the retracement analysis is the king's bed, that short-term consolidation. And like AMD, you have that double bottom. But unlike AMD, that double bottom happened on the gap out situation, which means you got a triple bottom right there.
And
That
the
thing is
50-day moving average and the
forced.
9 weekly. That's a lot of support.
Yeah,
A
that's
lot
just
of
on the
support.
daily chart, bro. That's just
Yeah,
on
that's
the
a lot of
daily.
support.
You go to the weekly, you got that 9 right there too. Like AMD and eBay both look really good in that scenario. The difference in these two is because if you remember, eBay has the high base and then it breaks. AMD had that extra
That
time up
extra
there.
M. Yep.
And so because it had that extra time before it finally gave, you're now fighting some of those moving averages.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit more momentum on this initial earnings report on eBay. But because of that, that's not really important. I just think it provides context for
Oh yeah.
why this King's bed is so clean.
It's so
Because
clean.
at this point, you're not fighting anything here,
Nope.
Frank.
It's ready for
You're
prime
you're,
time.
you're kind of getting into that open air. And when you look at this on the intraday side of the equation here, Frankie, you see this level right here that we're fighting up against at the close, right there, right there, right there, pivot point, pivot point. That's a level that has been well known on the intraday side of the equation. So I think you could easily just play the bar here. I don't think you need to see a close above the level because the level's really clean. I think you could be very aggressive here above the high, meaning that's not exactly really aggressive, but it's aggressive for the way you should structure orders.
Yeah.
And so I think you could go above the high. Now, I wouldn't fault anybody for saying, give me some a dose of confirmation here. Like that's a dealer's choice. To confirm or not to confirm an order is a dealer's choice. It's
Yep.
you
It's a
as the
trader's
trader's
call. Yeah.
choice. I'm just saying because of the open air environment, I feel like you could be a little bit more aggressive on the order than you did on AMD because of that 50 period moving average. That's the only distinction that is different here in my estimation. Now, stop loss placement, if you wanted to play the position trade here and just ride the thunder on the weekly chart, like beautiful,
You certainly
beautiful.
could justify it, right?
Yeah, just get it underneath the pivot point, take the risk, blah blah blah. But if you're more in that swing to swing position style, meaning you're swing trading, but I'm open minded to allowing the position analysis to play out if the data's there. Like
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sold on any one pivot point of resistance. And again, it's not because of the daily chart, it's because of the structure of the weekly chart. That's the philosophy. The targets here, so entry above the highs, stop loss for the swing trade underneath the 9 EMA, stop loss for the position trader underneath
Yep. Agreed.
the pivot point. Um, when you're looking at targeting here, I think you're easily targeting the 100 level. Like I just think that's a
Yeah, that
very,
one's easy.
very, very easy target. And after the 100 level, as you can see, there's really nothing there. And you look at kind of the personality of this move on the weekly chart, kind of 10 points kind of feels like it's kind of max there. So we'll walk up the stairs to 110, but I do think you got to be open-minded on momentum on a break of the
Oh
100.
yeah, I would agree with that. I actually think you can target it a little bit beyond that.
Yeah.
I have these guys as basically being sideways since like 2021, and if that's the read and that the range target would take you to 120, right? So I do think
120
that
would be out of this world.
I mean, obviously that's the position target, right? Is probably
Hey,
not realistically, you're probably
you're not
not
getting that as a
riding
swing.
the nine all the way to 120, although that'd be pretty sweet. We wouldn't complain if that happened. But it's a great look, right? I mean, you got a super clear path to the
Break.
swing high. The weekly is beautiful. I love the combination of the support levels, the gap out point. That's a great place in and of itself. A double
Yeah,
bottom, triple
either one.
bottom. That's a great place in and of itself. The 50-day moving average. That's pretty awesome by itself. The 9 weekly. That's pretty awesome by itself. I mean, you got lots here, and it's been drilling it, right? It's kind of telling you that folks believe in that. We'll see if that's the right call, but pretty clearly, folks have been willing to put their money on the line there anytime it gets into that range. I really like this. I do believe eBay is more ready for prime time than AMD. I do think you can
I would
build
agree.
the AMD tonight going into tomorrow, whereas, I mean, technically you can do whatever you want, but I wouldn't want to build AMD until I kind of got to see the close of that 50-day
I would
moving
agree.
average, which means I got to wait at least one more day here on AMD. So for that reason, I probably do like eBay a little bit more than AMD.
Mhm.
Personally, if I'm making my choice and who's the ultimate winner, it's just AMD is in my head at least a little more ready for prime time.
I would have to agree. I like them both again. Like there's a couple volatility and technical differences between the King's bet on AMD and the King's bet on eBay. But those couple lead to a clean entry on eBay and leads to a little bit of more ask on AMD. And so I would
Yeah.
agree with you 1000% there. I like them both, but I would still stick with eBay. I will just say this, and I've said this a long time. You don't want to miss AMD breakouts. Like
No,
that's
you
the
don't.
one thing you don't want to miss. And there have been times where AMD broke and it broke too hard for me to catch.
Yeah.
And that's
AMD
the
can,
risk you have in that. But again, that's I don't even want to say that's risk. There's just a missed trade and they happen all
yeah.
the time.
And a new
That
trade will
you
happen,
have
right?
to
A
make
new,
those
yeah,
choices.
something will develop. Something will develop. But I would agree. You are very open-minded to playing
Yep.
AMD breakouts at all times because of its history of running on
On
breakouts.
breakouts.
Yeah.
Linda, I was not in the lounge today. The reason being is I am currently writing the Master Trader Manual, and that thing is giving me a nightmare. And so I get pulled in a few different directions through the day. And so I asked Mark to keep me off the lounge for the next few days so I can really kind of just focus to get the Master Trader Manual done because it's been on my radar for 3 months. And now
And
I'm
now
like,
you're in it.
okay,
Now you're in it. So
now I'm
let's
in it.
stay in
Like
it.
I
Yeah.
started writing it a week ago and I was just like, I'm in it. If I stop the momentum, it will be this rough draft for the next year. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited to get this to the team because, quite frankly, when I say the Master Trader Manual, this will be as good of any technical book you guys
Oh,
read.
it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be great.
We all know that. We
Yeah.
all know that. Yeah, but writing and putting together, they can be a little progress. So I completely understand, right? You let that momentum falter, and it's like going to the gym, right? It might be a day, it might be a week, it might be a month, it might be a year before you get going back. So
Mhm.
we will
All
allow it
right,
here.
team, let's hear from you very quickly as we sign off from today. And if you are watching this later on tonight, team, go ahead and let us know in the comment section which is your favorite trades ideas in session in round one and round two, the King's Bed round. Let us know. Outside of that, if you're not a pro member of the Team Tackle Trading, hit that link in the description below and come and be a member of the tackle trading team. You're going to love it. You'll love the lounge that we hang out every single day talking trade, updating our team on what's happening in the market, a lively communication in our Discord channel. We do obviously educational shows every single week. For example, Frankie, I just did
Oh yeah.
round three of the day trading conversation. We've done 3 weeks of it. We're doing another one next week. And so if you want to come learn how to trade, guys, we are the #1 rated financial education company in America, according to Trustpilot, because we put all of it into that. And if you want to come see how what it's all about, hit the link in the description below and you can get a
100%.
free trial. No risk.
Absolutely.
Free trial.
Absolutely.
Not
And
exactly a free trade, but it's a free trial.
but it is a free trial, and it
It
is
is
the
a free
best community out there, bar none.
trial.
We spend a lot of time together, but we enjoy the time that we spend together, laughing, bouncing ideas around. Have a great community here at Tackle Trading.
No
I
doubt.
will throw in my Wednesday scan. I didn't do a particularly deep Wednesday scan
Yeah, can we all
here
give a shout out to
here
Frankie? He
today,
was
but
sick and under the weather, and he's like, "Nope, I'm still coming to Trade
I'm
Masters."
still coming. Yep, it's
And so
still.
he gutted it out. He gutted it
Listen,
out.
I'm going to be sick anyway. Might as well get to come talk
Uh,
about trading, right? So
like I think this is the equivalent of the Michael Jordan 1997 game, the
there
flu
you go.
game,
There you
Game
go. That
Five.
might be a bit
You got
extreme,
you
but
got
I'll
Michael
take it.
Jordan in Game Five, or you got Coach Frank in Trade Masters. I know it's a close debate, but we'll let the team debate that.
We'll let them debate that. I will throw my Wednesday scan in the new traders channel of our Discord here when we are done for anybody who wants it, whether a pro member or just hanging out with us here on YouTube. You can get access to that just in our Discord channel. There will be a link to that in the description of this or really any tackle trading video. So feel free to head over and snag that if you would like to do so. And Maddie, this was fun, bro. I hope next week I am more energetic, but I enjoyed it. Got some good
Oh, you brought the
ideas.
thunder,
Uh,
brother.
Listen,
I don't know if I
listen.
was thunder and you were lightning, or you were thunder and I was
I'm
lightning.
just glad I didn't go on
We're
like
thunder
Eddie's
and lightning.
coughing binge. I thought I was going to once. I had to, do the mute thing, but I was able to tough it out. So I'll live. I will live. I just will
We'll get
complain a
feeling
little bit.
better, brother.
I
Really
appreciate that.
appreciate you coming on and appreciate everything you bring to our team every single day, even when you're sick.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate
Absolutely.
it. All right.
Absolutely.
If you love Trade Masters, hit that like, tell somebody about it, spread the good word of tackle trading and Trade Masters to a interested trader near you. And with that said, I hope everybody has a blessed and wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, night. And if you need anything from us, hit us up.
Absolutely.
Later,
Thank you,
team.
team.